Okay, we're live. Good evening. Could we have somebody to give me an indication that you can actually hear and see me? George Carillo, how are you doing? Hope you're well. This is the second edition of the safety briefing for Spearos. So let's see. Klaus Tum, how are you doing, man? Amr Amwar, hello, sir. Madame Justine. Okay. So we'll give it a little bit of time to get some more people involved, and then we'll crack on with what we're doing. This is about safety for spearfishers. A lot of spearos, in particular this month, have lost their lives, sadly, and most of it is due to lack of knowledge. So let's hope, Ramsey, hiya, how are you doing, buddy? Let's hope that we can educate some people and let them understand just how safe our sport is, as long as, of course, you adopt the correct safety methods. I'm not sure if we have any yet, but inshallah we'll have some people from different countries. Last time we had Indonesia, we had Philippines, we had Italy, Brazil, UK, America, all over the place. People wanting to learn how to stay safe when they're spearfishing. So, as I said, I'm just going to give it a little bit more time so people who are not quite with us can get with us, if you like, and then we'll see how many people we can bring on. Last time we had about 38, I think, maximum, which was a bit disappointing, but I was really pleased to see that over 6,000 people viewed the video. So obviously it worked. I was quite surprised to see that had happened. Can you hear me? Okay, good. Let's see who we've got here. George Carillo, of course. What's he doing? Sending voice messages now. That's okay. Klaus Tum. I'm pretty sure I know you, Klaus, right? I'm pretty sure Klaus is a guy who works in the Philippines teaching freediving, unless I'm mistaken. Just let me know if that's true, Klaus, or if I'm mistaking you with somebody else. Amr Anwar is watching as well, so good. We'll give it 5 more minutes, and then we'll make a start. Just to explain to you, if you haven't seen this before, my name's William Mesrutha. I'm a free diver, scuba diver, and spearfisher. I've been diving for over 50 years now, in different shapes and forms. I'm a paddy dive master, I'm an AIDA diver, free diver, I'm a boat captain, and I'm an ISA, International Spearfishing Association instructor. So I guess if there's something to be known about it, I probably know it. So let's see what's going on. Anybody responding? Huh? Genesis, hi, welcome back, my friend. Nice to see you back on here again this week. Assume you enjoyed it last week. It was great that you were one of those in particular who spread the word and got it out to a lot of people. So I really appreciate that. So shout out to Genesis for his work helping us bring this on. Another guy called Ray from the Philippines was a big help spreading the word. What was that other lady called, honey? The other lady who helped spread the word. The one who you became friends with.
Cruella.
Huh?
Cruella.
Yeah, Cruella, that's it, sorry. Cruella as well was a big help last time. You know, it was a little bit disappointing when we saw that only how many? 38, I think, in total joined. But I was really, really pleased to see that touching on 7,000, I think, people have actually seen the video now. There's obviously a need for this type of information to be spread out. You know, being safe as a free diver as a spearfisher is quite easy, as long as you follow the rules and as long as you've got the information. If you've never been trained, that's fair enough. You know, we understand that, and it's not cheap. Let me drink a water, please. And it's not cheap to be. Salvatore Pacifico, how are you doing, young man? Muhammad Hatta, Syam Sadin, pasti orang Indonesia begitu. So, if anybody's got any questions, please feel free to post them. And Jasmine, my wife, is reading the messages, and she can pass them on to me so we can answer some questions. Muhammad Yusri, Mr. Sunandar, also pasti orang Indonesia. Benar, Silent Hunter, where are you, sir? I know you're here somewhere. Silent Hunter's another good man who helped to spread the word last week. It's been very sad this last week. We've lost a lot of people this last month in particular. I've had 10, 11 reported to me already. Some yesterday alone, a young Australian guy lost his life in Sumatra diving. Very, very sad. He went with 4 of his buddies on a boat trip. They stopped for a rest. He decided to take the small boat and go off and do a dive, you know, on his own. Never dive alone, people. His friends found him at 10 meters, sadly. Mr. Sunandar, apa kabar? Selamat malam. Hope you're doing well, young man. Yeah, so it's pretty sad that we're losing these people, and all because they don't have knowledge to keep themselves safe. Giovan Santana. It sounds like a Brazilian name. Yeah, so the point I need to make to everybody is it's very, very simple to stay safe. It's very, very simple to stay alive, and it's very, very simple to make sure that you take the precautions in order that you can enjoy our sport. And I know some guys are using spearfishing to feed their families in Indonesia and Philippines in particular, and we applaud that. Amazing. So it's a lot easier than you might think to stay safe. So Lionel Cassini, hi there. Leave that. Yeah, and so okay, take it if you want. Take it. Yeah, sorry, my wife just wants to recharge her phone as well. So okay, Lionel Cassini, good day to you, sir. How many we got on here? So 10. So okay, so 2 more minutes, guys, and we'll make a start. And we can, because it's quite late. I know it's quite late. Tazri Bonajal Yanni is watching. I know it's quite late in Southeast Asia, Philippines, and Indonesia. Probably about 10 o'clock over there. You know, it's not easy. I know a lot of you dive at night as well. So I hope you're not giving up your night dives. Anyway, let's crack on. So, my name is William Mesrutha. I've been diving for 50 years. I'm a PADI dive master. I'm a ADA diver, free diver. I'm a boat captain, and I'm an ISA, International Spear Diving Association instructor. So I'm trained to teach people. And I really always, on my courses, focus on safety. Safety is the most important part of my course. I'm also ex-military, so I'm weapon safe as well. So let's... Liam Saratbut is also just coming online. So, yeah, just to carry on, I get sidetracked. I'm sorry about this. Okay, so as far as spearfishing is concerned, how do we keep safe? And what are the reasons that we have blackouts? Question you might want to ask, and I asked this last time, but nobody answered. So I'm going to ask it again. What exactly is a blackout? What is a blackout? What gives us the blackout? What causes the blackout? How do we avoid the blackout? And how do we observe blackout potential in our buddies? First thing I have to say, and I know it's not easy for everybody, but please, please never dive alone. I'm very lucky. My wife's a spearo as well, and she's more keen than I am, so I've always got a buddy to dive with. But if you're not with a buddy, it can get dangerous. You know, nobody knows when the next blackout's coming. Nobody knows when it's going to happen. So let's talk about what is a blackout. Okay, blackout is basically a protection system inherent in our human bodies, because remember, we're also mammals. We have the mammalian dive reflex that's inside us. Once we get insufficient oxygen in our bodies, or we've used too much oxygen and we've only got a little bit left, our body goes in lockdown mode. And whilst it's in lockdown mode, the little bit of oxygen that's left is diverted to the vital organs in our body to keep us alive. So what happens is we lose consciousness due to hypoxia. We then go into a lockdown mode. Our throat closes to stop water getting in. Our body locks down. If your buddy's with you and he recognizes this, it's very easy for him to come and get you. If he doesn't know what a blackout's all about, he doesn't know what to do. And we heard stories this last week of people dying because their buddies didn't understand what to do. So a blackout basically is a protection system inherent in our own human bodies as mammals to save us in the event of a blackout caused by hypoxia, which of course is lack of oxygen going through our blood to our vital organs. The way we would recognize a blackout, if your buddy is diving and you see him doing some odd things, you might think there's a blackout coming. For example, if you see your buddy start to blow bubbles, we all know as spearos, never blow bubbles. Always come back with what you went down with. If you went down with full lungs of air, come back with it, although it'll been depleted by chemical reaction going from air or oxygen through our body into our blood. We understand that, but basically we never blow bubbles. So if you see your buddy blowing bubbles, you know he's having a problem, you need to go down to him and help him. Another thing that you might see in a spearo, you know, we love our guns, right? We all love our guns, our wonderful guns that we've got. You can see mine up there. I've got a full range of Rife spear guns up there. I love Rife as a gun manufacturer. I like wood, basically. If you were aware of what's going on, and if your buddy is coming up and lets his gun go, you know there's a problem. It doesn't want to lose that gun. Okay? So, you need to go down and help him. If he starts climbing the ladder, as I call it, trying to get up, looking up, doing this, doing bicycle kicks with his feet, trying to get out of the water as quickly as possible, you know there's a problem. And you need to go down to him and help him. And the way you help him is you go down to him, you take him under the chin, at the back of, under his arms or at the small of his back, and you push him up to the surface ahead of you. Once you've got him to the surface, you need to put him on his back, You need to take his mask off. You need to what we call blow, tap, talk. So blow on the mammalian sensors, tap his face and say his name. Breathe, Will. Breathe. Come on. Breathe. Breathe. This usually brings people around. You can do that 3 times, trying not to get water in his face, of course. You can do that 3 times. If he still hasn't regained consciousness, then you need to either take him back to the boat or back to the shore or wherever you are as quickly as possible. If you can't get there, if you're too far offshore, you need to perform CPR. And that's another subject that we should cover in the future because it gets a little bit technical. Good evening, Dama. Salamat malam. Okay, and Badaz Abdullah. So, that's what we would do in the event of a blackout. So, we talked about what you should look for, what the warning signs of a blackout. We just mentioned there already, for those who are just joining us, people blowing bubbles, not good. There's a problem. People letting go of their equipment, again, there's a problem. People climbing, trying to climb up as quickly as possible and doing bicycle kicks means there's a problem. There are all sorts of different things. He might be shaking. He might start shaking and get what we call LMC, loss of motor control, or samba, as some people call it. He's not dancing. He's not having fun. He's having a problem. So we know that there's a problem there. He might start laughing whilst he's underwater. He might start crying whilst he's underwater. There are all sorts of weird things that happen that are warning signs for a potential blackout. We need to understand what these are to be able to help each other and for others to help us. So what should you do? How should you realise that you've got a blackout coming? Because that's important as well, right? So what are the things that you might experience if you're going to have a blackout? The first thing is you tend to get tunnel vision. So you're only seeing what's going on straight ahead of you through your mask. You're not seeing anything on the side. So that's the sign of, what's this one wants to join? Somebody wants to join. Who's that? I don't have to join him. Okay, so, yeah, you see tunnel vision. You don't see anything going left or right. You're just seeing dead ahead and straight of you. You might become forgetful. You might think to yourself, did I shoot a fish? Did I dive? What did I do? You might you might start to think something's not right. It's a similar situation where you would get, as a scuba diver, nitrogen narcosis, start laughing and joking and doing all sorts of weird things like giving your regulator to the fish and all sorts of other stuff that we've seen when that type of thing happens. And so those are the things that you should recognize in yourself. Pins and needles in your hands, white hands and white feet. Your extremities go white because, as we said earlier, your body is diverting the remaining oxygen to your vital organs. Okay? So those are the things that you need to understand in yourself, that there's a problem. You start doing irrational things underwater. You need to start getting to the surface and hope that your buddy's coming down to help you out. So those are the things that might happen that would give you, yourself, a warning that you're getting close to hypoxic or not enough oxygen in your blood, not enough oxygen because it's all right going down. You know, this is a thing that happens a lot, you know. Happened to me. I had a couple of blackouts when I was a free diver. We go down deep. As we're going down, it's easy. And what happens is our lungs compress. But we've got the same amount of volume in our lungs. But our lungs are compressing, so you feel great. You get to the bottom of a 30-meter dive, you stop and you have a look around, which is a bad thing, by the way. Have a look around, see what's going on, then start making your way back up again. As you start to get closer to the surface and your lungs start to expand again, it's only then that you realize that you've made a mistake and you need to get up there as quickly as you can. So, I mean, there's no reason for any safety stops in spearfishing or freediving, as you're obviously aware, but it's something that we have to understand. As you heard, there's a lot of different indications of blackout. So as long as we understand those, we can help ourselves and we can help our buddies. Again, if your buddy's getting a problem, the way to do it is this. One should be up, and I know it's easily said than done this. Free diving is always this way. One's on the top, one's on the bottom. Free diver watches his buddy go down. He watches him get to the bottom on the plate. He watches him come back again. It goes down to 10 meters, watches him coming up, making sure that he's safe. And when he gets up to the surface, he continues watching him for 30 seconds. Because even after you surface, you can still black out. Okay? So, as spearfishers, it's not that easy. I've very rarely seen spearos who are shallow diving in particular doing proper buddy system. They usually tend to keep quite close to each other, but not watching him go down and come up. And we all should, but if you're doing a dive in a 3 or 5 meter area, there's not much point, because by the time he's got down and looked around, even if there's bad viz, you still can see him. Okay, so the point is that whenever we dive, and I'll say this the technical and official way, your buddy should be on the surface and should never dive until you've come back up again and he's watched you for the 30 seconds. Because like I said earlier, you still can have a blackout. Okay? Very, very sad news this week. I think we've lost, this month, I think we've lost 5 Filipinos. We've lost...
There's question.
Okay, good. Go on. Question is...
Is it recommendable to take a shower after night diving at 12 a.m. or late? From Tazri Bunahal, Johnny.
Is it recommended to take a shower after a night dive? I would say yes, but, and wash your gear. That's the most important thing. Shower your gear. Get the salt off your gun. Get the salt off everything, your knife in particular. Okay, so if that's a rhetorical question, the answer is yes, you should. Okay?
We always do.
So, where was I?
Saving how to save the blackout victim.
I've done that already, okay. So I've got sidetracked there. Gogong, hi there. I forgot where I was. Sorry, guys. I've just lost my track a little bit there. Okay, so, yes, I'm sorry. I was reporting on the people we lost this last month, and in this past week in particular. Only yesterday, a young Australian guy sadly passed away in Sumatra on a dive. He was with his 4 buddies on a boat. When they came up for a rest, he wasn't tired. He took the small boat from the big boat and went off and dived on his own. Didn't come back for a couple of hours. They went to look for him, found the boat, didn't find the diver. They dived, his buddies dived and found him unconscious, or I guess drowned at 10 meters. They brought him up to the surface, did what they could, but unfortunately it was too late, and very young Australian guy, only in his early 30s, passed away. Another person who passed, very, very sad. We lost, I think, 5 Filipino divers in this month. We lost...
James Umali is asking, is it true that our lungs will pop out when it's super deep?
No.
It's compressed?
A very good question from...
James Umali.
James O'Malley. Is it true that our lungs will pop out when we go deep? No, the opposite, actually. The deeper we go, the more our lungs are compressed. So they start to get smaller and smaller. I think the first 10 meters, they're reduced by 50%. And then you go deeper and deeper, and they get smaller and smaller. The thing you've got to be aware of is when you come back again and they expand, then if you've gone deep and you don't have enough oxygen to get to the surface, it can be a problem. So no, your lungs will not pop if you go deep as a spearo. I mean, I live in Abu Dhabi. We're blessed with quite safe seas here. We're diving between 3 and 10 meters usually. Rarely we'll go down to 15, 20 meters if we go offshore. But we don't really see that sort of thing happening. we don't experience that much of fatalities in spearfishing, but it still happens. You know how deep you need to be to have a blackout? 6 inches of water. You can black out in 6 inches of water. So think about that, guys. Next time you go spearfishing on your own, the deeper you go, the more chance you've got of a blackout, because it's okay diving 20 meters, but you've got another 20 meters coming back, and you know it's a lot harder coming back than it is going down, especially if you've got a fish on, especially if you're heavily weighted and lots of gear. Getting back up again is the problem. It's not going down and going deeper that's the problem, although I would always advise people not to go so deep. I mean, look, how much can you see at 20 meters? 25 meters, it's dark. Sorry?
The viewers are safety divers.
Why?
Is Harji Kiliope and Elian Silva.
Elian Silva.
From Brazil.
From Brazil, safety divers. Wow.
Diver.
My honour to see you on here, Hergi.
Yeah.
What is the procedure of holding, properties of holding breath prior to duck dive? Is it necessary to fill up air until max? 100%, or any advice for ideas? Personally, Fushima, secret for a long breath hold is just stay within your limits. And let me just go to that other question. This procedure for holding breath or taking a breath prior to the duck dive. Okay, there's a way that we do our breathe up. We call it the breathe up. And what we do basically is we have to, as an instructor, I'm always teaching people how to breathe. Can you believe we've forgotten how to breathe? If you want to understand that, watch a baby when it's laying down on its back. When the baby's laying down asleep on its back, all you see is the stomach moving. The chest doesn't move. The stomach goes out and comes back in again. That's because when we're born, we know how to breathe. We do what's called diaphragm breathing. Your diaphragm is here underneath your lungs, and that's where you need to start your breathe up. So on the full breathe up before you dive, what I would do is, first of all, I push my stomach out, okay? I push my stomach out, and then my first breathe in, I pull my stomach in, my apologies, pull my stomach in, my first breathe in, I push my stomach out like this. That's the first part of my breathe up. The next one is the intercostal or lung breathing, so then I put my shoulders back and my head back and breathe in a little bit more. Pause for a second, and then I dive. What you've done then, is you've given the bottom of your lungs the first air. The first air, the first oxygen in the bottom of your lungs is very important. If you don't do diaphragm breathing, you just do this. It's not good, not good at all. And you see it all the time with new people. Ready to dive, off you go. What you've done is you've filled the top of your lungs. You haven't filled the bottom of your lungs. On the bottom third of your lungs, there's some organisms called alveoli. The tiny little organisms that take the oxygen from your lungs and chemically transfer it into the liquid form into your blood. And then that goes around your body. The alveoli also help in releasing the CO2 as well, but that's another story. So it's so important that you do diaphragm breathing. It's so important you do that when you dive. One asked earlier, how do I get longer dives? That's the way to do it, okay? And as I say to all of my students, slow it down, guys. There's no rush. If you want to be good at spearfishing, you've got to be like me, lazy. I'm a lazy guy, okay? So I'm just taking it nice and easy. I was with a student yesterday in the sea, and he asked me, can I see your duck dive, Will? I said, of course you can. So I did the same old thing. I did what we always do and what we always teach is face in the water, mask and snorkel on, pre-equalize first, snorkel out, duck dive, and go down. And if you do it properly, we start with our hands like this, out in front, going down. If you've got your gun, obviously, one hand holding the gun, the other one on your other hand. So you're going straight down. Then one arm pull, like a breaststroke pull. If you've got your gun, just with one arm and just pull. If you do that properly and your body's straight, you can get down 10 meters without even using your fins. And this is something that I teach my students in the swimming pool. Learn to duck dive without your fins. When you start on the surface, my advice is stay flat. Fins on the surface, your whole body on the surface, taking your time, getting yourself ready for that dive. Do your diaphragm breathing. I'll do the 4 hours in a second. Get through that. Make sure that you're... I mean, somebody asked earlier, should we have 100% air in our lungs? You can't put 100% in your lungs, okay? I teach my students 80 to 85%. You don't want to hyperventilate. Hyperventilating is such as the professionals do packing. Packing means that they... Then they lay down going... What they're actually doing is they're hyperventilating and getting rid of any CO2 that's in their body and filling it up with O2. So they're hyperventilating. Hyperventilating is very, very dangerous. The pros know how to control it, and they do it to break records. That's why they do it. We don't need to do that as a spearer, no. We just do a nice, easy, collected, relaxed on the surface. Here I'm on the surface, mask on, snorkel here. This is how I do it. I get my breathe up done, I get ready, take my last breath, then pre-equalize, one little push on your nose, pre-equalize till you hear your ears click.
Yeah, somebody asked about equalization.
Snorkel out, pointing down on your gun on your hand, go down. One pull. If you do it properly, no reason for fins. You can get down to 8 to 10 meters without finning. Now, why would we want a silent duck dive? Because when we're on the surface, if we're going to do a duck dive and start splashing, there's only one fish coming to check you out. Guess what that is?
Shark.
The shark. The shark's going to come and check you out. We had one about 10 days ago in Abu Dhabi, a huge, beautiful bull shark right underneath me when I was coming back to the boat.
It's so big.
And my wife said, "What's that underneath your foot, Will?" I said, "Oh, it's a bull shark." I had to call the other divers in, obviously, and move location, but I love them. I love sharks. Anyway, that's another story. So,
Watashi wa niri bagotsan.
Yeah.
It's asking about equalization because sometimes either or right or left.
Okay, good.
Equalize.
Good question. Equalization is an issue for a lot of people, and nobody's immune from it. I get equalization problems every now and then in my left ear. The idea, the best way to deal with that is not to force it. If you force it, you'll pop your ear and you'll probably end up not diving for a month. If you go down and you feel the pain in your ear, attempt to equalize. If it doesn't work and you're still in pain, come back to the surface and start everything again. Do your relaxation, do your...
the 4 hours.
The 4 hours. We do a thing called 4 hours. On my spearfishing course, I teach the 4 hours. And this basically is about getting yourself ready. So you come up from a dive, and the first hour is what we call the recovery. So when you come up from your dive, back up to your surface or to your float, when you come out of the water, you're not wanting to take air in, you're wanting to push CO2 out. So you come up from a dive and you... So I push out, and then I breathe in for a second or two, and then I push that oxygen down into my lungs. Then I do another breathe in, and push it down into my lungs. And then after that, finally...
And then the rebalance.
So then we've done the refresh. We need to do the...
That's recovery.
That's recovery, sorry. Now rebalancing. What's rebalancing? The second hour of the 4 hours is just staying on the surface. You might be putting your fish on your string, you might be reloading your gun. Just take it easy. Just do some nice diaphragm breathing. But we recommend 60 to 90 seconds. Just carry on doing that for 60 to 90 seconds and just chill out. This gives your body the chance to recover, gives your mind the chance to recover. It helps to slow your heartbeat. The next session is the refresh. How we refresh is this. We breathe in for, I teach my students, it's 2 to 10, but I teach my students to breathe in for 2 like this, diaphragm breathe in for 2, hold for a second, and then breathe out for 6. Again, hold for a second, breathe in for 2, hold for a second, breathe out for 6, hold for a second, breathe in for 2, hold for a second, breathe out for 6,
and then reload.
So now my body has relaxed, my heartbeat slowed down, my lungs have been refreshed, my respiratory system is back in calm mode, my adrenaline slowed down, my pulse has dropped, everything's nice and slow. Now it's time to reload before we dive, like I just showed you earlier. So, first of all, if I can do it sideways, maybe if you can see it, I'll do it sideways. So, first thing I do, I pull my stomach in. This is my diaphragm I'm tapping here. So pulling my stomach in, and then I do my my first portion of the 3 steps of the reload. So stomach in, stomach out for 2 seconds. Breathing in, up to my chest, up to my neck and mouth, pulling my shoulders back. Pause for a second, and then I dive. Okay, that's my breathe up. That's my recovery, my breathe up. Everything I've done right now means I'm ready now to go on a good dive. My longest breath hold.
It's 5 minutes in Qatar when you.
Quite a long one. a long one. But I practiced a lot, right? So mine's quite long. But if you can do like 2 minutes, if you can dive for a minute and stay underwater for a minute, you're doing really, really well. Believe me, when I start my students off, they probably start, and I let them do this. Hold their breath, and they last about 30 seconds. Then I teach them what I've just told you, and the next breath hold is 2 minutes. And then it goes on and on from there. There are other ways that you can get yourself ready for a dive. If you've had a particularly strong and tiring dive, you can do what's called, on the surface, or holding onto your buoy maybe, you can do what's called a body scan. You just close your eyes, just chill out, start on your toes, and let every toe, one by one, relax. Move up to your feet, to your ankles, your shins, your thighs, your stomach, your arms, your fingers, your neck, your head. Just take your time. And how do you relax your toes or fingers? Like this, right? Somebody asks, like that. Just let them drop. So your whole body is just chilled. The worst part of being a spearfisher and seeing that big hammer underneath you, the worst thing is adrenaline. Because we've all done it. I know we've all done it. We see that fish beneath us. Dinner for a week. Right. Off we go. Here we go. Down. Problem is, you've built up all that adrenaline and you've taken all those breaths in, hyperventilated. By the time you've done your duck dive, 50% of your oxygen's gone. Just with a duck dive. So you're going to go down to 12 meters for that big fish. You get down to 10. You get down to... Don't put that on it. Delete that. I don't want to put that. She shouldn't be putting stuff like that.
I need it.
Okay, so where was I before Jasmine interrupted? I forget what you put me off now. Where was I? Yeah, so once you get down there and you see that fish and you've used half of your oxygen is gone, and then you get down and you get close to the fish and you've run out, you've got to come back. Oh, it's a nightmare. It happens to us all. It's a nightmare. You see that beautiful big fish down there and you get down there and you're about 2 meters away and you know you've got to come back and you have to come back up again. That's another point. Another reason for blackout. You go down, you're down at 10, 12 meters, whatever. You sat on the bottom, you're laid down in ambush position, waiting and ready for a fish. There's no fish anywhere. You do some dusting of the sand to try and attack the tension. You do some grunting to bring the fish to you. Nothing. Your time's up. You know that you've got to come up because your contractions have gone and it's time to come up. So you start coming up, and halfway up, you get halfway up and you see on your corner of your eye a beautiful big red snapper. The biggest one you've ever seen.
Or whatever is it.
What would you do? Answer me on here. What would you do if that happened? You're coming up, you're halfway to the surface. You only went to 10 meters, halfway to the surface, you look down, you see that beautiful red snapper or hamur or whatever it is that you might want to take home for your family, and you see it, and you're halfway up towards your recovery, and you see that fish. I know, but leave that fish alone. Very, very good, Crank Tours. Very, very good. Leave that fish alone. Get yourself back up to the surface, because your body is ready to be refreshed. And you're in the process now of coming back to the surface to get rid of that CO2 and start your breathe up again. So the idea is, you watch the fish, you come back to the surface, get on the surface, keep your eye on the fish, keep following it on the surface, do your breathe up, keep yourself, what was that again? So if I'm a beginner, I want to train my breath holding technique. What's the suggestion? Number of hours we dive, sir. Put your hands under the fish gills to secure them. Of course, that's the way to do it. You should put your hands in the fish gills to secure it.
There's a question for Fushima Jun Kabadi.
Yeah, what was that?
What is the best time to take meal before a whole day dive?
Good question as well. The ideal answer is not to eat before a dive. However, we're human beings. We need energy. The way that I was taught and recommended is to eat something like muesli. Oatmeal. Porridge, muesli, whatever you need to do to give you sufficient carbohydrates to get you through. Bananas are really good. If you take bananas, it's bad luck to take them on the boat, I understand, in some countries. But bananas are very good because of the potassium and the carbohydrates. They're good. Don't eat too much though, because there's nothing worse than getting acid reflux when you're dying. I get it a lot. Heartburn, acid reflux, or whatever you want to call it. Acid comes. I get it quite a lot, and I use a dry snorkel to stop the salt getting into my throat because it makes me vomit. I'm used to it now. It doesn't bother me. I vomit when I'm down. It doesn't bother me. I just carry on. The fish like it actually. I'm chumming, and my wife loves it. She comes with her gun, watching, waiting for the fish to come and get their feast. Okay. So
from Watashi Waniri Bagotsan. One more question, sir. Any ideas on how to avoid cramps during spearfishing or diving? Okay,
the cramps are something that can be quite common. I get cramps sometimes at night because I'm old, but the way to do it is by taking magnesium. If you take magnesium tablets a couple of days before your dive, you shouldn't have a problem. If you do get a cramp, I got a little one yesterday. I pulled my fin towards me. My buddy came up and pushed my leg as well, and it very quickly goes. So it's not a bad thing to get cramp. If you've got a buddy, you're fine. If you haven't, get hold of your fin and pull it towards you, and that helps. to relieve cramp in your calves, or your thighs, which is where most of us get it. Okay, so we talked about is it a good idea to... Now, listen, somebody mentioned, is it a good idea to put your hands in the gills of the fish? Right, okay. Here's my advice. When you shoot a fish, if you've still got plenty of air and it's on the bottom, my idea, what I always teach my students, as soon as you shoot the fish, go to the fish, push the spear in, twist it, and then come up to the surface. Why do we do that? Not to kill it, but to make sure that the flopper has opened. If it's not open, the fish can pull away. I always recommend people use a float. I always recommend people use long fins. There's a question from James. What type of fin should be used? Always recommend long fins if you can afford them. I know they're not cheap these days.
Not the scuba.
Not scuba fins. I don't recommend scuba fins at all. Would always recommend long ones.
What's your suggestion number of hour we dive, sir, if I am a beginner and I want to train my breath holding technique?
Okay, so if you're a beginner and you're not able to get any instruction, Mr. Santos, my advice is to start in bed at night. Put some relaxing music on, lay down on your bed, do the body scan like I just mentioned, and just relax. Do the breathe up that I just showed you, and hold your breath, and see how long you can do it. It's a much easier thing to do on the bed than it is in the sea, of course, but it gets your body used to holding CO2. Good evening, Dodip. How are you doing, my friend? Good to see you again. Naman dry kadiri master salunta.
Naaman di ay kadiri mas.
What?
He's talking to his body. It's here watching also.
Is Silent Hunter here? I hope he is. Any recommendations, vitamins for spearfishing so we can dive longer and not get tired immediately? It's a very difficult thing, this. I mean, you know, we do day dives from sort of 6 to 8 hours from the boat. So we do a dive maybe for an hour, come back to the boat, have a drink, relax, go back to a different location, do it again for an hour, and so on. And we take snacks in between. It's good to have some form of carbohydrates. And also juices, fresh juices. I freeze mine before I go. So when I'm out there as captain, I can just grab a frozen juice and eat it, and it's great. Yeah, there's lots of different ways to do it. My advice is don't eat a lot of food before you dive. Eating a lot of food before you dive is not a good thing at all. Just think about the type of food that you're eating. Try to avoid alcohol. Is a big no-no. I know some people drink alcohol before diving. That's a great way of encouraging losing your life. Never drink alcohol.
Recommendation vitamin for spearfishing so we can dive longer and not get tired immediately?
Recommendation for vitamins. Multivitamins are good. You know, look, you just got to think.
Just relax.
Carefully. I'm going to say this thing, and I always say this to everybody. Before you dive, before you do anything with spearfishing, think, relax. 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 Everything you do should be slow. The quicker you do things, the less your dive's going to be. So when you're on the surface, waiting to do your dive, do your breathe up, get yourself ready, just... Take it easy. When you're going to dive, chill out. Do your duck dive. Do your duck dive slowly. The way I do my duck dive is I'm flat on the surface, a couple of little fin kicks to get forward momentum. I put my hands on my gun, facing down. I then bend my body and I go into the duck dive straight down. One pull with my arm, I can get down to 8 to 10 meters. And I hold my gun inside my body. I don't do this. when I've got down there, I pull my gun inside my armpit. So I do everything palan-palan in Indonesian. Palan-palan. Just take it nice and easy before you do everything. And remember, the biggest enemy of spearfishing? Adrenaline. Adrenaline. If you're one of those people who wants an adrenaline hike, you love adrenaline, go and do something else. Don't do spearfishing. Seriously. This is not your sport. If you want to go and do some wrestling or boxing or something like that. Spearfishing is for the lazy man, and that's me. What's this? Who's had a nosebleed?
Huh?
This one here. Kaban dari nosebleed town sa English. 2 biddies.
No, they are Bisaya.
What are they saying?
It's hard for us as a Filipino to speak your language.
Yeah, what's nosebleed got to do with it?
That's what we call when we are...
When you don't understand it's
Yeah.
a nosebleed. Okay. Okay, no problems, no problems. My wife's Filipino anyway, so she's sort of translating what you guys are saying. Say hello, Jasmine.
Hello, I'm Muslim, but kasabot ko Bisaya, oy.
What's religion got anyway? Okay, so
Because Visayas, they can't speak my language, but I can speak my
right,
language. their
okay,
language.
right, fair enough, right, okay, whatever. Okay, so when it comes to line management, do you have any advice or any tips on how to manage lines easier? What type of lines you talking about, Eldani Fernando? Are you
Shooting
talking
line or float
the shooting line, the float line, the spearfishing line? Which one do you mean? As far as I'm concerned, the only line I'm interested in is the line from my spear to my gun, the shooting line, and the other line is one, good, right, float line. The float line, okay, I'll show you what I do actually. Where's the float with the line on them? Where's the orange, the yellow thing?
What yellow?
My line's on. Okay,
There.
where? The yellow thing.
The Dainima?
Yeah, the yellow thing. The yellow thing that I put my line on. So,
Okay.
this is Jasmine's small.
No, see.
Jasmine's small gun. This is the C0, Rife C0. As you can see there's a carabiner clipped on a line, which is her float line, and that float line goes up 10 meters to her dive float, which is here. Okay? Underneath the dive float is the stringer that's attached and a whistle, and there's a flag on top because it's new. Okay? My own float line is a little bit more
Keep it down.
a little bit more complicated. It's on one of these things. You can get these in most dive shops. And if I'm diving shallow,
We are Filipino, everything is improvised.
if I'm diving shallow, I just take a few links off it and leave it up near the float. And if you do it properly, you can do it so that as you pull your line, it will actually open and twist for you to be able to pull more line away. That's got 10 meters. If I want to go deeper, I've got another 10 and another 10 in my dive bag that I'll just clip on and go further down. I use shark clips to keep it all safe and handy. Okay, so I always recommend using Mam Jazz, hello Mam Jazz, okay. I always recommend people using float lines and floats. If you use a spear gun with a reel, that's fine. There's no problem with that if that's what you want to do. I've got one with a reel somewhere.
Nerog a libro.
am-
Said best speak.
Oh, there's one here. Here's one. This has got a reel. This has a reel. It's a very big gun, as you can see. This is the Rife C3 with a monster reel with 50 meters of line on it. It's a huge thing. But notice also the hole here. That's where my float line goes. That's where my float's attached, even to my reel. The reason is this. And I use that gun only for very deep dives and long distance shots. Okay. I still have my float line attached. Okay. And the reason I've got it attached is this. Let's say, for argument's sake, I shoot a wahoo, or in my dreams, or a mahi, or something like that, one of the big fish, and I shoot it. Okay? And if it's a big fish, it will go, and it will start taking, and there's nothing like that wonderful sound of your reel as it's pulling the fish from your gun. Problem is, if it goes deep and it goes into a rock, for example, or onto a rock, or onto into a wreck. Sharks are pretty smart. Fish are pretty smart. They'll go down and wrap themselves down. If he goes deeper and deeper and your line's still running away, okay, your line's running away and you're getting to the end of it, unless you've got a spare on your belt, a lot of people have belt reels that they clip on before the other reel finishes, unless you've got that, and even if you have and it still goes, if you've got a massive wahoo or some massive fish out there and he's running away with your tuna, for example, tuna's gone, you haven't got a float, good night. Say good night. We always recommend in those cases to use breakaway reels, breakaway lines anyway. Okay. So
What is the best time for
it's attached to your float, it's attached to your gun. You can use your reel if you want to. You can still let go of your gun and go back to the surface to relax because it's attached to the float on the surface, or maybe attached to the boat. It's attached to something. You need to be able to shoot, let go back to recover. Never ever go down chasing a fish that's pulling your line. You ain't going to win. You know, if you look at a tuna, it's got one muscle, one flick of its tail and it's gone. You're finning away with your little scuba fins. Not going to happen. Just let it go. So it's better to have a float. So when you do shoot it, you can let go of your gun, make your way safely to the surface. If it's got a big float, it's very rare that a fish is going to have a big couple of 12-litre floats underwater. The captain of the boat will just follow it until it gets tired, then you pull him in. Okay, so
J. Mark Cervantes, what is the best time for day dive spearfishing?
what's the best time for spearfishing? It depends on what sort of fish you're looking for. My idea, my feeling is the best time to spearfish is the break of day, dawn, sabu or fajr, whatever you want to call it, when the sun comes up and you're waiting and the fish wake up, the fish start coming out and having a look around. And if you do night diving, most of them are asleep anyway, so you just plug them away. They just die, don't they? They're easy to get. Night diving is probably the easiest form of spearfishing. As long as you've got a strong light and a float, obviously, and a buddy, you should be okay. Morning for me is the best. Lunchtime here, especially in the middle of the day, is freeze, so hot. It's crazy. So we tend to try and not bother at lunchtime. The hotter the sun on the sea, the deeper the fish will go. Here we had a dive a couple of weeks ago. It was 58 degrees Celsius air temperature. The sea temperature was 39. Seriously, you were sweating underwater. It wasn't nice. And there was no fish anywhere to be seen. It was just because it was too hot. Summer's broken here now. We're coming into the winter season, thank God, and the fish are starting to come back. They don't like it. When you're at the surface, that means mapia so ginhawa.
Huh?
Mapia so ginhawa. What's that mean? What? What is it?
I don't know.
James O'Malley, I'm not sure which language you're speaking there. My wife doesn't understand it. She's Filipino. I don't understand it because I'm I speak Indonesian as well, but I'm not sure if I'm misinterpreting what you said. When you're on the surface means when you're on top of the sea. Here's the sea, you're floating on the surface. When you're floating and looking down. Okay? Secreto para mama
Shout
book
out
man.
Nero Anibro. Huh?
Shout out, who said that? Shout out to Silent Hunter Bogoy for sure.
Yeah.
He's a great supporter of ours.
He's a silent watcher.
The silent watcher, checking us out. Good guy, very, very good man. And he's put the word out to a lot of the 6,000 people who watched it last week. I was really, really pleased to see that.
James O'Malley, ang kulit.
Huh? James O'Malley, what?
He's funny.
Are you being funny, James? You chatting my wife up? Be careful.
You can watch it. Adi.
You're welcome, Silent Hunter.
Aldani Fernando.
How long have we had now?
What we usually have here in Philippines are plastic ropes
Yeah, that's fine. Look, it doesn't matter what type of rope you use.
that are not too buoyant.
This is cotton type of rope covered in plastic. A friend of mine made this for me. We've got, you can see there the green rope there is on that new one that I'm doing for a student is elastic, and it's elasticated rope 10 meters.
Mine is just a usual rope also.
Which one's
The
yours?
one I'm using.
Where's yours from?
The 5 meters, not the 10 meters.
The one that I made.
Yeah, the float line that I'm using, the
Yeah.
white rope.
Yeah. Anyway, any type of line is good enough for the float line.
Yeah,
As long as you've got a line, as long as you're attached to your boat, to your float, just assume that your float is your home. Okay? How to stay younger, sir? God, don't ask me, I'm old. I'm 65 in 2 weeks, so don't ask me how to stay young. God, I'm already old, man. Sudah tua gitu. So, any questions? Any more questions that I can answer? It's been a really good session tonight. I've really enjoyed talking to everybody. How to stay young? I'll tell you how to stay young. I'm 65 in 2 weeks, right? I probably look it, but I'm not. The way, exactly, did up, get in the sea. I get up in the morning as an old guy, like, whoa, stretching, my arms hurting, my back, my neck, my legs, everything. I said to Jasmine, oh God, I'm getting old, I shouldn't be doing this. Go on the boat, get in the sea, I'm 18 again.
Hi, John Vincent Litada Kayala from Iloilo.
Who? Why am I
John
not saying
Vincent.
this? Jen Vincent, why am I not saying this on
Yeah,
here?
it's like that. And
It's coming through my feed is coming through a little bit late. So yeah, listen, I just want to do something just a little bit unusual maybe, but I want to do this now because yes, I do believe the badger can hold their breath for 5 minutes. I've dived with them, and yes, the spleens are at least twice as big as ours.
there's some people are late from Luis Lopez.
Okay, yeah.
Main reason of blacking out.
Sure. Yeah, I do think that the badger can hold their breath longer than us because they've got the spleens are twice the size of ours. They're bigger, and your spleen is an emergency oxygen retainer. It holds oxygen in it. Okay, and then if you do start getting to close to a blackout, it releases reserve oxygen. This is another miracle that we're born with. So yes, they can hold their breath. Very sadly now, a lot of them are using compressors to dive with, because remember, this isn't sport for them. They're trying to feed their families. Anything they can find to make it easier to feed their families, they're going to use. And I've seen it, compressor on the boat, hose pipe from the garden, hose pipe in the mouth. Not good at all. Yes, you can do CPR in the waters. I had a friend who put somebody had a heart attack underwater. He put him on his float. He had one of those big...
It's like a small boat.
Like a small boat, the Boshat Guardian float. He put him on it and he gave him CPR and saved his life. So yes, it is possible.
Luis Lopez. Main reason of blacking out, I think he's late.
Okay, Louise, I'll go over it again quickly. Why would you black out? You're diving too long, too deep. You're taking too much risk. You're not understanding the proper way to do a breathe up. And the main reasons are lack of knowledge.
Or you're not feeling well and you insist to dive.
If you don't feel well, if you've got flu, if you've got a blocked nose, stay home.
Or sleep less.
Don't go. I mean, look, how many times have you and I not slept at night, right?
Yeah.
If we're going on an exciting dive tomorrow, it's not very often we get any sleep anyway. But the point is, you should try and get a good night's sleep. You should, and the one way to go to sleep, as I mentioned earlier, that body scanning. Lay down, take nice, deep, slow breaths. Start from your fingers. Relax each one of your fingers. Relax your thumbs, your hands. Your great thing about Indonesian, it's all tangan, right? It's great. So fingers, hands, wrist, forearms, your biceps, your triceps, your stomach, your thighs, your legs, your stomach, your shoulders are the hardest thing to relax. Just chill out as much as you can. Do it really slowly. When I do the body scan, if I can't sleep, I never get to my head. I'm always asleep by the time I get there. Okay,
Eldani Fernando, what would you recommend, an O2 table or a CO2 table?
O2 tables are a good idea. You can do CO2 training. You don't even have to be in the water. You can do it whilst you're walking. You can do breath holding while you're walking. You can walk. It's been a long time since I did CO2 tables. We do them in the pool. What I do is I swim 25 meters on the surface. I dive underwater on the way back. So I do front crawl for 25 meters. I dive and do underwater dynamic swimming for 25 meters. Yes. Come back to the surface and then do breaststroke for 25 meters. Turn around, do freestyle front crawl for 25 meters. Dive, swim 25 meters underwater, come back up again, and so on. And that helps with CO2 tolerance. What does it help if you spit the saliva with blood in it? Does it mean your ear is damaged? Mm-hmm. It could be. It could well be that. I mean, your ear, your sinus, your nose, everything's connected, all this lot here. Your sinuses go up from here, all the way into your nose, down here, right down to here. So it could be. It doesn't mean that you definitely damage your ear, because if you damage your ear will bleed. You will know, and you'll feel it like leaking in your ear. So you'll feel it. Spitting blood, it could be lots of different things. I'm not a doctor, I couldn't say what it is, but if you have got bleeding when you cough and spit, see a doctor.
I think his lungs compress. Remember?
You can. There is a problem. Yeah, yeah. Of course, people's lungs get compressed from very, very deep diving. And that can cause a problem. So yeah, you should get it checked out anyway. If my wife knows we have scheduled spearfishing, she won't let me sleep well. Keeps waking me up midnight, so I wake up late. We don't want to go into what you do at night in bed with your wife, Dodip. Thank you. Silent Hunter Bogoy is 80 years old and still doing spearfishing. Really? Well, good for him, man. You never get old as a spearo. We still stay young when we're spearfishers. Okay, so, great talking to you guys. I love this. Any more questions?
Turn your wife into spearo.
Yeah, that's the answer. That's the answer for you. Who was it who asked the question? Dodip. Turn your wife into one of these. Show him your t-shirt.
Spearo! Abu Dhabi Spearo.
Okay. Jasmine's a spearfisher, and she's a very, very good spearfisher. She'll show some guys how it's done. She comes on the boats with me when I've got my students, and for some reason, they all want to save her for blackout protocol. It might be something to do with the fact that she only weighs 32 kilos. It's easy to save somebody from a blackout of 32 kilos. But she also saves them. Some of them are 90 kilos, and Jasmine can still bring them up.
I do you. You're so
She does me, and I'm heavy. She saved me many, many times. Just before we go on any further, guys, we know this last month has been a very bad month for spearfishers. 5 Filipinos, 2 Indonesians, 2 Italians, Australian have lost their lives. So let's just give a bit of silence for a minute just to say a prayer for those guys and pray that it doesn't happen to any of us. So let's give it a minute of prayer I don't want to say their names because it's personal, but just think 11 people lost their lives this month.
Those who you know that.
So may God give them safety in heaven, and may God protect all of us who are still here learning how to stay alive in this beautiful sport that can be dangerous if you haven't got training. So God bless those guys who we've lost, and God bless you all who are still here. Dive safe. Please be careful. As I said last time, before you go spearfishing, say a prayer. Before you leave your home, ask your family, do you want me to take a risk to get you a meal? The answer is always going to be no. They don't want to lose you for the sake of a meal. So be very, very careful when you're spearfishing. Just come home. I know your wife and kids will say that to you. Dad, just come home. Okay? Come on with a nice fish, but no fish is worth your life, and no gear is worth your life. So whether you're Christian, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, whatever you are, just thank your God for giving us the opportunity to be spearfishers, to feed our family as some of us do, and for a great sport as the other of us do. And just remember, your family would rather go hungry with you than you take that risk getting that big fish. So think about others when you do spearfishing. Oh, another thing as well, just quickly before I finish, because it's been a long one, this. Weighting. Wearing too much weight is just as dangerous as not doing a proper breathe up.
Yung pabigat.
A lot of people think they need heavy weights to keep them down. That's not true. The deeper you go, the less weight you actually need. Okay?
Because you're free falling.
Once you get to 15 meters, you start to free fall anyway. I do free diving with 1 kilo only, and I'm free falling at that level. Okay, we've got lots of equipment and stuff when we're spearfishing, but still, you don't need all this weight. We lost a guy here just short of a year ago, a good friend of ours. A lot of weight. He went diving with some buddies. He got tired, came back to the boat. They came back to the boat. They dived again. He said, I'm staying on the boat, I'm tired. He woke up half an hour later, dived on his own. 8 to 10 kilos of weight. Not good.
John Vincent said, what should I do, sir, if your dive buddy is not following the safety measure and dive plan, leaving you in search around when it's your turn to dive, not watching you?
Sorry?
Silent Hunter said, find another one.
Find another what? Spearo? Buddy?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, if you're diving deep, as a lot of you great divers I know in the Philippines and Indonesia do, if you're diving over 10, 15 meters, I would stick religiously to your dive buddy. How does it work? You have a chat before you're going to dive. You tell him how deep you expect to go and how long you're going to be there. He stays on the top watching you, looking down. He waits until you come in back up again. He would usually go down to say 10 meters and grab hold of you. Not grab. He would come to 10 meters and watch you coming up. Watch to make sure you're not going to have a blackout. When he gets to the surface, he watches you for another 30 seconds. Then it's his turn. Then you have that conversation again. I'm going to go down to that cave. I'm going to stay down for a minute. I'm going to be going down about 10 meters. I'll be fine. Any longer than that, and there's a problem. Okay? Sorry, somebody calling me. So, just buddy diving is the best way to do it. Nighttime in particular. Nighttime is a dangerous time. So you need to ensure, A, you've got a strong battery. Okay, that's one good thing that you should have. B, that your buddy knows when you're going to go. And remember, when he comes up, keep your eye on him for 30 seconds. You can still black out on the surface. Keep your eye on him for 30 seconds. If he gets fish and you don't, he'll share it with you. That's what we do, right? It's not all about you keeping your fish and them not. Just make sure that your buddies, because you know you'll make friends in this sport. I tell all my students, you make friends in this sport. You will not understand how close you become to somebody when your life is in his hands. Okay? When your life is in his hands, you become as close to that guy as you could probably ever come to anybody. I'm ex-military. Some of my spearfishing friends are the same as those I served with in the military. That close. Okay? And respect him. Another thing to bear in mind, when you do dive with a buddy, make sure you've got his contact details. Make sure you've got his telephone number, his next of kin. Make sure you've got all of that with you. Make sure you've got access to emergency services. Make sure everything's there. Okay, I'm going to leave this on my Facebook group for a while now, for maybe a month or so, this lecture. The last one got over 6,000 views. This will probably get more because we had more joining us. But please share with everybody. Please share with everybody so that we can help stop this tragic loss of life for the young guys who are out there, feeding their families in some cases. I know I talked about earlier about the float. You don't have to get expensive floats. You can use water bottles. You can use empty plastic bottles tied together. Whatever you need to give you a float. You don't need to have expensive lines or nylon-covered elastic lines. You don't need this. Any rope will do. As long as you are attached to the surface with your gun, it's easy, it's fine. Okay. You can let the most important thing is this. Number one, you can let go of your gun when you've shot the fish and go to the surface. Number two, why is a float important? Boats can see you. Whose responsibility is it to be seen in the water? Is it your responsibility or is it the responsibility of the captain of the boat? Harold, here's my main top student just joined us. Mr. Harry, top man. Okay, so when you come to the surface, what was I saying? Before Harry interrupted me?
Harry, remind me again.
Harry's interrupted me, yeah, okay. Sorry, I was just happy to see my good friend and buddy, Harry, on the group, on the message there. So yeah, I'm going to keep this on the group for a long time, maybe a month, and hopefully more people will get to see it. Bahalag wale kuha bastanin ogi gears. What's that?
Yeah. It's okay. They didn't catch fish.
It doesn't matter.
At least they
come home.
They have good gear.
Listen, spearfishing, of course, if you're feeding your family, it's about providing protein to your family.
Translate.
But look, those of us who do it for sport, you know, I went diving yesterday with three other people. I think I got one fish. The other guys didn't. They're students. They loved it. They still enjoyed it. It's not about just shooting and killing fish.
It's about the experience.
It's about the experience, enjoying nature, enjoying the ocean, being part of the ocean, and being happy.
And every dive you learn something new.
Have you heard that?
About technique.
I'm just going to pass you over. You can speak in Tagalog now.
No.
Just say that in.
I'm shy.
Just say that in your language. Come on. Tell them.
I'm shy.
Tell them. Come on.
No.
Every dive
you learn something new.
Not in English, in Tagalog. Come on, you're on the camera now.
No.
She's gone red.
No, it's not.
Just tell them.
They understand.
Tell them.
Hi, Takayuki Ishikawa.
Just tell them.
It look like
It's
Japanese.
not just about
Sounds
shooting
Japanese.
fish. Tell them.
Yeah.
In your language.
No, it's...
It's not just... She's shy. It's not just about shooting fish, being a spearo.
Yeah, it's about the
In your
sport.
language. In your language.
Ya Allah, can I speak Arabic now?
In your language, please. Come on. Indonesian.
No, you
Sorry.
do.
In your...
Promise, I
think she's... Maybe it's because it's back.
Okay, now it's okay.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. Jasmine turned the microphone off.
I told you I don't like the camera.
She didn't like to. She didn't like to do. Didn't like to talk on camera. She gets shy. A bit like me. We're always shy.
Oh, yeah.
So you've got the sound now, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Did it before I spoke Indonesian or after?
Yeah. You have to say it again.
Oke, orang Indonesia begitu ya. Kalau kamu enggak ada ikan waktu menyelam, tidak apa-apa. Istirahat saja. Enjoy yang laut, yang menyelam. Harus sekali, just enjoy it. Enjoy the beautiful natural world underneath the ocean. Hebat sekali. And Jasmine refuses to speak Tagalog, so adaw kau sa pakau sa
No, because
mambo
I
sa.
get confused.
Who?
No.
Who's confused?
When you speak multi-language, you don't know what to
Okay. So I was just talking a little bit in Indonesian there for our Indonesian friends. So I think that'll do for tonight. It's been a nice session, everybody.
Yeah, and it's late there.
It's getting late in the Philippines, of course, as well. You can hear her talking in the background, but she won't talk on camera. So just be safe, guys. Please, stay safe. Nosebleed me anang Indonesian language, sir. Nosebleed.
Nosebleed.
Hidung darah.
When we don't understand.
Oh, nosebleed is when they don't understand in Filipino language, apparently.
Yeah, that's
Hidung darah,
it's like
Indonesian,
a
bahasa
saying.
Indonesia.
Our
Okay,
saying.
so yeah, listen, guys. We've had some tragic circumstances this month we've lost some very, very nice young guys. Yes, it is recommended. Go get my rubbers out of the fridge. There goes Jasmine. To show you that it's a good idea to put your rubbers in the fridge.
Where did you put?
It's on the top, you probably can't reach.
I can't reach it.
She can't reach it. But yeah, if you're not going to use your rubbers for a long time, put them in the fridge. That will help to keep them strong for a lot longer. Okay, I think we're done tonight, guys. Thank you very much for your attention. It's been great. Please spread this message out to all of your Spearo friends and freediver friends. We're all in the same boat. We're all doing what we can. And another one, there was a special mention for crank tours. Yeah, of course, it's great fun to dive. We know that. There's nothing wrong with going spearfishing and not shooting fish. I'll tell you something as well. When you dive without your gun, see how many fish come to you.
Oh, it's annoying. If you don't have spear gun, the fish come to you.
Who was that guy who, the guy who died, the Italian? What was his name? We had a tragic loss as well this couple of days ago, actually. I'm trying to remember the guy's name now. He was a professional freediver from Italy, but has a company in Dahab in Egypt, and he was a world record holder, actually, and he was a world record holder and world record holder for no limits diving, 185 meters. I just can't remember his name. It's horrible. I can't remember his name. And he basically died because he took scuba gear, went down to service the anchor lines on the platform, and we're not sure, but we understand he went deep, much deeper than a normal recreational scuba diver would, and they basically never saw him again. So God bless him, and let's hope that he's in heaven looking down. So all right, guys, thank you very much again, and it's been really, really nice talking to you guys. What's that? Giveaway? You want my spear guns? Yeah, I don't think so. You can have my wife, but I want to keep my guns.
Oh, very, very dare you. Yeah, I will go with them, bringing my...
But she said she'll come with you and take the guns, yeah. All right, guys, thank you very much for joining. It's been a real pleasure talking to everybody.
Mauric Peñara, shout out from Philippines.
Who? Mauric Peñara?
Yeah.
Shout out from the Philippines, apparently. Yeah, good. Okay. So,
Tutoy Sangalan,
Angie Zuccari,
Australia.
thank you very much, Neda Zenith. Andrea Zuccari.
Kiliope.
Very, very sad loss to the freediving community of the world. One of the best freedivers, a national champion, super guy. Very, very sad that we lost him, and nobody really knows what happened. But the sad thing is we lost a great member, and he's done some great videos. He used to come to Dubai a lot doing what do you call it? Doing training sessions for
In Dahab.
equalizing sessions. He used to come here doing equalizing sessions
For
in
6,000
Dubai for a lot of
dirhams.
money, actually, but he was very, very good at what he did. Do you have a YouTube channel? No, I don't have a YouTube channel, but my friend up there, look, Baladad Harold,
Yeah.
has got a YouTube channel, and anything I do, he puts on there.
I
So if you
posted
follow
his YouTube.
Baladad Harold YouTube, you'll see my information on there. And Harry's one of my best students,
We
so
have viewers
and
from
he's a
Phuket.
Pinoy, so he's a great guy. So,
Klaus Tum.
Klaus Tum.
From Phuket, Thailand.
Yeah, it is Klaus. I thought it was. Yeah, from Phuket. Yeah, wie geht's, Klaus? Klaus is a very, very good freedive instructor from
And
Phuket.
scuba diving.
And a scuba diver instructor, I know that. And I was hoping, if you remember, Klaus, I was hoping to come to Thailand to teach some spearfishing, but they all told me it was banned, so Very, very sad. But I've seen some people are diving there. I don't know if it's who you are or who you know, but it seems that there's a bit of a problem there. Okay, so I better call it off now. It's been an hour and a half. It's been a great session tonight. Please pray for all of those guys that we've lost. Please say a prayer yourself before you dive. Please take it carefully. And Harry, tell them, Harry, what's the best thing that we learn on our course? What do I keep on teaching all the time, Harry? What do I tell you to do?
Safety, safety, safety.
I have a delay on this for some reason.
Of course, it's a long distance. Always delay.
Anyway, I'm sure Harry's going to confirm this in a minute, but relax, guys. Relax, relax, relax.
Nishant.
Think safety. Nishant. Hello, young man. How are you doing? Nishant from Amit.
Garmin.
Great supporter of ours. Just relax, guys. Take it nice and easy, and let's hope we all get to dive together one day, inshallah. God bless you all, and may you all dive safe.
Dive safe, yeah.
And
Harry
be good.
Harry said.
Follow Harry's advice. Dive safe. Thanks, everybody, for joining. It's been a real pleasure spending time with you. I was feeling a bit down earlier, but since I've come on here, I feel great now. So,
Nakita mo lang si Harry.
new word, equalize. Really? Wow. We can talk about that in more depth in the next one next week. Okay, James. So we'll talk a little more about that next week in on the session about equalizing. But the first thing about equalizing I'll tell you all is, before you dive, we do what's called a pre-equalize. Hold our nose on the surface, slight push till you hear the click, snorkel out, dive. And then as many times as you want equalizing, click, 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 click. Okay, guys. Good night, everybody. God bless you all. And we'll see you next week.
Good night.
Take care.